must admit I'm quite enjoying this throne. I've never ever in my life been on a throne. And it's looking quite nice. Let me try and do an Ajay Jadeja here. Because the last time someone got this, it was Ajay Jadeja, but it's a new feeling for me. Here on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live, Ajay Jadeja alongside me, so is Joy Bhattacharjya. As it turns out, the Sunrisers won. They made heavy weather of it, but they made heavy weather of it for a reason, because we wanted somebody sitting on this couch.
And never again should we say anything to MS Dhoni. You want to finish in 19th over, there's no problem at all.
No, but MS would have taken it to 19.4.
That's true.
But tell me, heavy weather, was it the pitch? Was it that just sometimes with these targets you play extra safe? Is it the smaller targets with pressure on you? Because it looked at one point they're going to finish in 14-15 after Bairstow.
Yeah, it looked a different game when Till Warner and Bairstow were playing, because I think the ball probably was coming on better, and they're in different frame of mind, they're in different form. They're thinking positive all the time. They've just had 300-run partnerships. And when they get out, then Vijay Shankar looked the same. He carried on. And then came the guys who haven't had a hit. You know, somebody like Manish Pandey, Huda, who was in and out the last couple of games. He didn't play. Yusuf hasn't had much time. So then the game changes, because, you know, you start thinking differently because you haven't had a go. You haven't had success. And there is enough time. So you think that will happen. And then you suddenly lose a wicket. And it gets interesting, but you know, the game was in.
Well, I mean, once
as you had called it rightly, over number 19.
Over.
Look, I think they wanted to play you in. And Bairstow was told, you know, Harsha needs this one. He's okay, mate. I'll give.
I mean, I've never been pampered like this in my life, so I'm feeling so good, you know. Even the seam is not bad. Let's see what happened today. Yeah, here's what happened today. My producers just told me in my ear, stop admiring yourself and come back to the game. So let's see what happened today. So 129 for 8. If you have anything to say in favor of Delhi at all, Delhi needed Hyderabad to do a Delhi for them to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
They hinted they might, but they didn't actually end up doing it. But if there's anything you want to say in favor of Delhi, it is that they kept Sunrisers in for 18.5 overs in that run chase. Pluses for them were the bowling of Tewatia, 3 overs 1 for 10. So they had a few pluses. I thought Shreyas batted well, but Bairstow and Nabi were the stars.
Yeah, they've been the stars. I mean, Bairstow's been star for their batting, but Nabi just, you know, changed the whole game. He's come into the side last game, and it's no mystery spinner, nothing, just regular spin bowling. The only difference that I see with him and other bowlers is that he's bowling not imagining what the batsmen are going to do, not worrying about, oh, somebody's going to hit me. But he's, you know, thinking, how do I bowl with my skill and get somebody out? And in that process, I mean, he's got a few wickets, he gets it for a 4 or a 6 if he bowls a bad ball. But he's not giving you the singles. If you pick the numbers with him and somebody who has similar numbers, you'll see many more singles with other bowlers, whereas that is what he doesn't give. And I think that is heartening to me to see, because I hate to see a guy, because, you know, being a batsman, you know how difficult it is to get your first run. But I see most teams just giving away that single when you walk into bat. Absolutely. And that is what Nabi is making you do. So at the start of your innings, if you don't get a single, you know, and so you were either going to get out or you take a chance. And I think he's coming out trumps every time.
So now he bowled what? He bowled 4 overs. He took 2 wickets to go with the 4 that he took the other day against RCB. He's come in, he smashes around. He finishes matches really well for his franchise in the Big Bash, where he plays every single game virtually for them. Here he's just come in and he said, you know what, I should have been there all along. So he's our MPL hero of the match, and this is as good a performance as any you will see. 17 of 9 balls, 2 fours and a 6. And of course, he bowled 4 overs and took 2 for 21. Another player from Afghanistan. Yeah, what a story it is from Mohammad
amazing.
Nabi. Yeah.
And as of now, Afghanistan has the best record in T20 cricket in the world. So if you look at winning percentages, okay, it's been buffed up a bit by associate countries, but their winning percentage is above Australia, above India, above everybody.
Yeah, true.
And in that format of the game, they're pretty threatening. I mean, they're a pretty serious side.
Okay, I'm so happy to be on this MPL Super Couch. But guess what? Who is our super team hero? Who's the winner of the contest? Let's see who we've got. Our super team hero on MPL is once again
Adrito.
Stunning cross from the left wing is Adrito. Adrito for the 3rd time running with 285 points. Jeez, Adrito is quite a player. We should get Adrito here. The only problem is, if we get Adrito here, then where do I sit?
Yeah. but just one thing, you think about it now, that innings of Johnny Bairstow, how important is it now?
Absolutely.
That 48 of 28, if these guys in the same situation, they were chasing 8 or 9, this game was in a lot of trouble. They would have been in a lot of trouble.
Are you saying there was actually a case for Johnny Bairstow to be the hero of the match?
It's worth looking at because,
in a low-scoring game, a batsman is 48 of 26?
Yeah, 48, and he was a game changer. They were 60-odd for 2, and that's really what gave them the base. The other batsmen could afford to play in a particular way because Johnny Bairstow could. And the other thing I want to say is that normally you see Warner going as well. So Warner also opened. Now my question is, Warner batted 18 balls for his 10. That means this wasn't that easy for even a Warner.
So who's the game changer today? Really was Johnny Bairstow.
Yeah, at 120. But I mean, if you're going to look at what somebody did, because if he had done it at the start of the innings and they had set up a total, and everybody else had only got to 120, then yes, I would give it probably to him. But when you come into bat with on 120, 130 to chase, there is a difference in how you approach the game. When he walks into bat, there are 10 wickets in hand. He's got 9 fielders in that circle. Or when Huda walks in, or somebody like Manish Pandey walks in, they're 4 down. Ball is older, and you got 5 fielders outside. So circumstances change. So that is why I'm not a big fan of these numbers. You can't look at numbers. I mean, that's.
So you're happy with Nabi being the hero?
I think it was Nabi because he set the game.
He set it up with those 2 wickets early on.
Once you got them out for 130, that is why you were in the game, and then you were all along in the game. Had he got out, maybe. Otherwise, why would he have said 14? I would have said 17. You said 18, 19.
Yes, of course.
So I'm saying, when we came here at halftime, we'd seen the game.
Yes.
And the game was already in the bag. So how would you give it to somebody for a performance while the game was already in the bag? So maybe a different way of looking at it.
As it turns out, Sunrisers go top of the table. And their net run rate is pretty good. But when you're winning matches like Sunrisers, why would you worry about what net run rate? It's so above everybody else, plus 1.78. When you win a game by 100 runs in a T20 game, I mean, this changes everything.
The only thing they'll be worried about is their exodus of stars leaving towards the end. That's the only thing that will be worrying them. And of course, once again, Manish Pandey did not come to the party.
He should have finished it, right?
Yeah, it's now worrying them. It's now come to a stage because he had 10, 11 overs. Previous matches, either he was coming in with this, 2-3 overs to bat, or his team has already won it. Here you had a solid 10 overs to score 60, 70 runs, get a good 20, 25, then accelerate towards the end. That didn't happen. And I've been with Manish Pandey for a couple of years. I've seen him as a player, and somebody needs to sit with him, put an arm around him, and just sort him out of it.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and it's a good team. Actually,
isn't it time for Manish Pandey to be putting an arm around someone else's shoulder? He's been around that long.
Yeah, but
I like him as a player, I must admit, but he's been around for a long time now.
Yeah, he
made 100 in the IPL in 2009.
In 2009, in 2014, he won an IPL final for KKR, scoring 93 in the finals with a run pressure of 200.
2015-16, he made a one-day 100 for India. So he's been around.
In Australia.
And won that game for them.
I think he likes the ball coming on. Yes. His game is different. He puts his left leg away, in fact, rather than going towards it. So he likes the ball at this height. When it's somewhere there and it's spinning, it's not his comfort zone, especially if he's just walked in. I agree. I think he's been struggling a bit, and it plays on your mind. But
he's come into the tournament with a lot of runs. He was captain of Karnataka. They won the Mustaq Ali. He scored a lot of runs for them.
Different, situation when you're captain, your mindset is totally different. You don't think about negative, you're always thinking positive. Plus domestic cricket is, wickets are different, the balls are different. The whole game at domestic cricket and here, I feel it's the pressure of people.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Nobody knows.
You.
Yeah, you scored 100 in domestic cricket, you don't, you go home. Your mother asks you, how do you do? Well, you got 100. Okay, you got a 0. Even your neighbor might not know, other than the few people who actually follow.
Everybody's watching.
Wow. Yeah, here IPL is like
it's the biggest watch league in the world.
Absolutely, like being in a goldfish bowl. Everyone around you is watching, and that's not easy. Different players adjust in different ways. He's struggling at the moment. I hope he gets through.
So SRH's big bench strength is showing. Somebody sent me a tweet a little while back saying, "Sir, but SRH already won it in the auction." When they bought really well. I mean, one of the fast bowlers goes away. They've got Khalil Ahmed, who's an India bowler, waiting to come in. They get onto a bouncy track. They've got Billy Stanlake who can come in. Now the question is, the captain of the side, how does he get in? How does Kane Williamson now get into this side?
Maybe that's why they had Bhuvneshwar Kumar lead this side in game number 1 when he wasn't fit. And maybe it's a way that they saw what was coming. International players are restricted. You can only have 4. And the way these 4 are playing, I don't see him coming in.
I mean,
and he may be the captain, but only to lead, he's a better player than any one of these guys.
No, he needs to play as well. Because to the tail end, he's available. New Zealand are available all the way through. Warner will leave early, Bairstow will leave early. So then the pressure will come back on Williamson.
So he'll come in and fit in place of any of those 2 openers. And I think as a batsman, but as a captain, I think he's more important to this team as a captain than a player, because there are other players who probably valued better. I would pick these 4 before him as a batsman or as a player. But when you add that captaincy that he brings in, so at the moment they don't need a captain. They're doing pretty well.
It's a long way away, but they want to go from 3 wins to 8 quickly. Then maybe they can rest Bairstow, try out Saha or somebody else, because these are all the players who will be required later on.
They will need Saha. They will need all India's best wicket keeper sitting out is just
but T20 ball hardly goes behind.
But I mean, for people like, actually, if you have the kind of, Bairstow's been good, but for people like Rashid and Nabi, he'd be really useful as well. I mean, it's not that, and remember, Ridhiman Shah has also scored a T20 100, so maybe not in the best of form right now,
but he scored one this year.
His last Mustaq Ali was not bad at all. He got runs.
Okay, what happens to Delhi Capitals? Let's take a look at where they are on that points table again, because they beat Mumbai Indians on the back of that amazing performance by Rishabh Pant. Thereafter, they won one game after a collapse in a super over, but they've now lost 3. And what did they gain from this? Shikhar is still, as you said, the India players are struggling. Shikhar is still struggling a little bit.
I don't think they gained anything from this game. I mean, if anything, they've lost more, because what had happened in the last game that was playing in their mind. So I thought when they started the game pretty good, they didn't change the whole batting. They added to their bowling. And but I'm surprised with the mindset around those teams to have played an extra seamer who wasn't there. I mean, I can understand you wanted to stick to the same side. You didn't want people to worry about the last game or feel insecure. So they brought in, but to bring in a seamer on a wicket like that, not that would have made a difference. Maybe it wouldn't have. But I'm just seeing how 11 teams are being picked. So it's not horses for courses. And then if you're making so many changes in that bowling, tells me, because when I looked at this side on day 1 and I said, 5 bowlers, they've sorted something out. They're looking good. They're going to change things. Then they win that game, and then now I think it's a spiral that they'll have to, I don't know how they're going to stop the spiral.
People talk about RCB a lot, but you look at erstwhile Delhi Daredevils, now Delhi Capitals. On paper, this was not a bad side today either.
It is a good side. I mean, if I look at that 11, I think on a flat and a good track, they are probably a better or a more dangerous side. Because you look at their bowling. Kagiso Rabada, Sandeep Lamachene, Chris Morris.
Those 6 bowlers.
And actually, no, I'm saying, so they would bowl the same, almost on a flat track or a, slowish, sluggish, fast track. But their batting, if you look, Prithvi Shaw, the way he's batting, Rishabh Pant, if somebody does a detailed analysis of Rishabh Pant, Mumbai, that wicket when he did that damage, is a wicket that he's always done well. He got that 300 also here in domestic cricket. So when the ball comes on, I think he's more comfortable. So is Prithvi Shaw, so is Shreyas Iyer. So on a slow, lowish wicket, maybe their batting is not looking as solid, because the overseas player also that they have, Ingram.
And Joy, Joy, it must worry them that they've got a few more games to play on that track. Do they learn from this and say, right, now we know how to approach this track, so we'll pick a different team next time? But it's not the track that suits a lot of their players.
No, and also the kind of talent that they have in the bench is not significantly better than what they have. I mean, they can't really afford to drop a Prithvi Shaw or a Rishabh Pant.
They are now stuck.
And now the question is that, you see, one other thing is that when you have seasons like this, if you see any successful championship IPL team, you'll see somebody is your bank. Okay, so for CSK, Dhoni and all is good. But their bank used to be Suresh Raina. Suresh Raina would turn up with 350, 400, 450, 500 to 450. You'll land up, Gautam Gambhir, he was a bank. He'd give you that every year.
David Warner for Sunrisers, 500 every year.
So that's what, and the years Rohit Sharma gets it, Mumbai does really well. The years they don't, they struggle. So that's the thing. In this sort of batting lineup, who is that bank that they are going to? Because none of their current batsmen are showing that kind of consistency.
I looked at this side before the IPL started, and I said, Delhi, if you can give them a really good track, a Wankhede kind of track. I mean, you can't change overnight. But then they would have played Trent Bolt instead of Lamichhane. They would have had Bolt, they would have Rabada, they would have Morris, they could have had Ishant on a good surface and still played two spinners. And then Prithvi Shaw would have enjoyed it, Rishabh Pant would have enjoyed it. But now all of a sudden they've got a team that's got strengths and they're playing on a surface that's different.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And the bank that you talk, what I felt today when I watched this team is you saw Shreyas Iyer becoming that bank.
Yes.
Because as soon as you send Tewatia in before Colin Ingram, it gives you a very clear signal, and to the opposition as well, that he's been sent in to start get going from ball one, and the other guy has to stay on. So maybe you're trying to protect, or protect's probably the wrong word, lack of vocabulary, but that is what something should not happen to a team. Because when you do that, the opposition is also looking at the way how you play, and they know as it is Rishabh Pant and Prithvi Shaw are the guys who keep going. So the opposition also starts planning, and then you depend too much on these individuals. It's not a team that plays. Whereas when we see SRH, on the other side, maybe because they've had success, but you look at their innings, you cannot say, okay, this one is the sheet anchor and this one is the attacker. They play the game as a team. And I think those teams who play as teams are probably more difficult for an opposition captain to work, try and sort out how it. If you don't know how somebody is going to play, how do you plan against them? Yeah. And I think I think Delhi is allowing the opposition to understand how they're wanting to play. And especially and I think I go back to the same statement. Not because it's Ricky Ponting and it's Shikhar Dhawan on this side and nothing to do with them. But when a coach at the start of an event, 2 games or 3 games into the
publicly
tournament, publicly calls out a player, it doesn't work in India. It may work in Australia.
I was about to tell you that it's a very Aussie way of doing
things. Fair enough. So I'm just saying, because this team relies on Indian kids. So, and they've, grown
top
up.
4 all Indian.
The batting is all Indian. Yeah, so when I meant banker, I didn't mean by the safe player, by 120, 130. I meant somebody gives 500 a year. No, but 500, 550 a year.
The problem these days is, in the public discourse, if you say bank, people think non-performing asset. Because banks are always lending to people who don't give it back to them.
But that's what's happening here. They're not giving back. They're not giving back.
No interest.
No interest.
What Delhi need is for that groundsman at the Kotla to try. Maybe an adjacent strip. Maybe do something. Is it possible for this strip, with a bit of work, or an adjacent strip, to be different in character?
Of course, it can be. You need to just put in a lot more water.
Yeah.
You put in a lot more water. You roll it a lot more, not with a heavy roller, but with a light roller. You keep doing that. It will not give you extra bounce, but the ball will come on to the bat. It'll come on, and that's what you want. But as soon as that comes in, you'll start seeing very big scores.
That might help Delhi, right?
Why the groundsmen do this also, or keep it this way, is because when you have a smaller ground, there's some way of neutralizing that game. And this wasn't that bad a track. I don't think what you saw at Chennai was probably 50% worse than this. And that also. It's not that these wickets, you've not seen wickets like this. There's cricket played on these kind of wickets as well.
You're just proving, you're convinced it's not a 120, 125 kind of surface
at all. No way.
All.
After playing badly, you still got to 130. You had people playing all kinds of shots. If it is a bad and a slow and a low wicket, what happens is we also go by scores and numbers. Yeah. But if it is such a bad wicket, Shreyas Iyer played that beautiful shot over mid-wicket. He just picked it up. Yeah. If the ball is not coming onto the bat, that shot can't happen. There are certain, Morris walked in, first ball, he hit that square drive for
Patel's last shots.
So there were shots played on this wicket. It's not that the shots weren't played. But at no stage did teams, Delhi Capitals definitely never had wickets in hand to play those shots, except the last 3. And if you see the other side, they started off beautifully. When they had 10 wickets in hand, it was easy.
Correct.
But when you lose wickets and then the bowler starts thinking of not giving you that single, it's not a wicket where you can play 6 singles. You'll get a ball that comes into your radar, or you can play different shots.
Now, as it turns out, the adjudicators at the ground have decided that David Bairstow was man of the match. Johnny Bairstow. Oh, I keep saying David Bairstow. This is his father. Stuart Broad will agree with me, because after taking 300 wickets, he's now gone past 400. Even when he had taken 300, people would still call him Chris Broad. But father and son.
That's true. It's like giving.
You should be happy if you're known by your father's name.
Correct. Man of the match was Johnny Bairstow. Now let's look ahead. There's another game coming up. Delhi Capitals a bit of trouble. Sunrisers pre-tournament favourites going on. Bengaluru and Kolkata. Right. Tomorrow, you here, Joy?
Yes, I'm here.
So the pink shirt is changing to purple.
So
I love the way you do not hide your feelings.
No. I'm not,
how many V's are going to see?
This time I'm going to do it subtly. I'm just going to wear purple underclothing. That's all.
Ooh.
So that's not. It's inside. It's not outside. It's like this. Which is okay. It's like that umpire they used to call a coconut, na? Who was the umpire?
Don't go
the
there.
West Indian umpire.
Don't.
Brown on the outside. White on the inside.
Let's stick to a public display of fandom. Don't worry.
So you needn't know. You'll never know.
It's one team that's absolutely down in the dumps against a team that's actually not played that much, hasn't played for 5 or 6 days. Yeah. So I suspect the focus will be on RCB here.
It has to be because they need to get onto that scoreboard. I mean, they haven't even got on. And if they don't have players, you can understand. I think the way I see it from this first game, they're playing with problem of plenty within that 11 with their batting. It is a problem. I see you've had problem with your batting, but you've got to leave out one of those two guys out of that. Because somebody has to feel that, what if I get out? You got to get into that feeling. Because look at that side. Got A.B. de Villiers, Hitmaier comes in, Moeen Ali can whack. Stoinis is there. Now Kohli, of course, is
there. Right down at the end of that third column, there's an aeroplane next to Nathan Coulter-Nile that is going outside the screen. Nathan Coulter-Nile is just flying away. He's not coming till the 13th. If he gets picked for Australia, he goes in a little while. So I won't be surprised if RCB says, thank you very much, we'll manage without you. But he might have personal issues, to be fair. We don't want to be unfair to him. But if he's available only for that long, from RCB's point of view, they've got to say, he's not there. Now what do I do? What changes? The team that was available for the last game is the team that's available now.
That's true. The other thing is that I really feel for whatever it is, Hitmaier is not in a good place in his head also. So, I'd look at saying that De Grandhomme did a bit in his last match, Klaasen did a bit. Do I change that round? Two is that having two talents of the level of Washington Sundar and Pawan Negi, maybe you can't use both of them together, that's a fair shout, but definitely one of those guys deserves to play. And not playing one of those Indian spinners who can also bat a bit, I think, takes away a bit from your balance. So, definitely those are things I'd be considering.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they play.
Parthiv, the other thing, we're not sure. Is Parthiv fit?
Apparently he addressed the press conference today, so Parthiv is fit. Because the other option would have been to play Heinrich Klaasen as a keeper. But they've got to find their Indian core. Who opens the batting? The first game, Kohli and Parthiv opened. Then they had Moeen Ali. Then they had someone else. Now Stoinis has opened for Australia before, but. Are you happy with Kohli going out to open the batting?
I am happy with Kohli going out. I think Kohli should open. Not just here, but we've seen that for India as well. In 2020 format, he needs to open. He's a timer of the ball. He's not one of those sluggers. And he has to open. I mean, if he fails, he fails. I mean, he gets out. Anybody can get out. But his best usage has to be opening. But at the other end, you got to give him little support to start with. Because he's not one of those who can... go out bang, bang, bang all the time and look after his partner as well. He needs a partner at the other end who's actually going in tandem.
I just wonder if Virat Kohli is the kind of person who can put aside the situation that the team is in and stay calm from within when he's going out to bat. Calm is not a word you associate with Virat. With Virat, you associate passion, energy, being in the moment, and yet he actually needs to distance himself a little bit and look at the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he needs to... Because at this point in time, the only way he can help them is through his batting. I mean, 100 from him would just change. Whether they win, they lose. If he scores 100, if he's in form, he's an inspirational captain. Look, for India, he's led from the front. He's not a Mike Bradley kind of captain saying, okay, Botham and Bob Willis are doing the heavy lifting. I'm really the guy, with a batting average of in his late 20s, early 30s, barely scared nobody. But Virat is not that kind of captain. Virat is, I am leading you guys from the front. So
I'll tell you what else he needs, Joy. He needs to go down to all those scientists in Bangalore and say, can you incubate startups for bowlers for me? They've got 1 wicket in the power play. That's it. 1 wicket in the power play. His bowlers are just not delivering for him. Look, everybody else, the next closest is Kolkata. Okay. With 3.
No, but Kolkata also doesn't scare anyone in the power play.
No.
Prasidh Krishna and, nowadays they hold Russell back. So unless one of their spinners gets them wicket, Kolkata is also not scaring anyone in the power play.
So they've got Umesh Yadav.
Yeah.
They've got Navdeep Saini, who I like. I think Navdeep Saini will be a really good 5-day bowler. But Umesh Yadav, Navdeep Saini, Mohammad Siraj has actually improved. He's come along a bit. But they want more from Umesh Yadav in the power play, which is what he did last year.
He was decent for them last year.
It's what he did last year.
3 wickets and over, he did stuff.
So is Kohli looking around that team and saying, right, should I play Tim Southee then? Should I play Tim Southee in this side for Shimron Hetmeyer? And look for an Indian batsman to go up. Maybe Washington Sundar for that matter, or look at Shivam Dube again.
I mean, Kudler you say is not available.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have left Hetmeyer and Moeen Ali out and brought in Washington Sundar for his bowling. Yeah. Saudi and Kultanail, and taken another Indian player out from there as well. Somehow try and put that way, because you got to. See, you were talking about not picking wickets at the top. First game, 70 all out. No pressure on the opposition. They've always been under par. So where is the pressure going to come? We don't see in 2020 cricket, including somebody like Rabada in that. Nobody's picking wickets at the top unless you played Bombay wicket in the evening where first couple overs something might happen. 7 out of 8 games that you play in IPL, you're not going to get a helpful wicket at the top to pick wickets. It'll have to be the pressure of the scoreboard, or it'll have to be the pressure of bowling or whatever is happening at that stage. It is not the bowling skills that get you wicket. Bhuvneshwar Kumar will have a wicket to show tonight. You know, I picked up a wicket at the start. But what was that? It was Prithvi Shaw gifting his wicket. So that it has to come from the other end. In this format, captains have no chance. They can't put in a couple of slips and short leg to pick up wickets. In fact, they got one in the slips with Virat Kohli dropped last time. Yes. So they could have had. Yes. So I feel Umesh Yadav has bowled well, and that's his strength. He can't bowl at the end. He's the guy at the top. Let him go. Their bowling is fine, the way I see it. The bowling is not so much of a trouble. The trouble has been their batting.
Now,
and the trouble is they have too many. Too many is not a good place to be.
Too much of everything is bad anyway. Yeah. But when you've got marquee players, when you've got Virat Kohli, you tend to talk about RCB. There's another team as well, and Joy is doing this. Joy, Kolkata, how is it going to affect them, not having played for 5 days?
I think it's not easy, but there's a plus side to it, because they depend on a core of players, and the two of the most important part of that core is Sunil Narine and Russell. Russell looked banged up last time, so in these 5-6 days will be really good.
Is Russell fit for about 10-12 days a year, or?
No, I think. Look, he plays so well in those 10 days.
He's something else. I mean,
but also they'll be, the other one is, we haven't heard, he didn't play the last match. Sunil Narine is so important to their plans. Yes. It's not just a question of one match for the season. So Sunil Narine needs to come back as early as possible. I can't see Nikhil Naik playing there on a regular basis.
No, I don't think he can either.
Yeah, and if you have somebody of the quality of Shubman Gill, you probably need to promote him and give him an opportunity.
Absolutely has to. I mean, the only thing I disagree, I agree with most of what Kolkata does, because I think there's a lot of thought that goes in. But they're not using Shubman Gill.
Yeah. They've got the two openers at the top. You've got at 3 Robin Uthappa. You can't send him back because he won't be happy at. Then you got Dinesh Karthik, you got Russell, you got Shubman Gill has only one place, so it's either 4 very early. I think the earliest that he can walk in is 4, because they've got to think of the entire side. They're not looking at just Indian cricket there, because Robin Uthappa is going to make a big face if you send him at 4, and he would know it better. He spent enough time with him, and it would be unfair to
Robbie.
Sorry, Robbie.
It's now Robbie.
Robbie, because one from open to 3 is also not easy to get him there. He's still happy. He's comfortable. He's that sort of a.
He's one player. He makes 20, and it looks like the best looking 20 in the game. But anyway.
So look, he's had 600 run seasons also. That's the thing, and he's looking good this year. He's looking really fitter this year. He's looking as if he's timing the ball, and maybe Bangalore will be good for him as well.
But at the end of all this, all 3 games that they won, they needed Russell at the end.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
So everybody has that comfort when Russell is around. Is he fit? Because he didn't come on.
But he's had 6 days to recover.
Okay, so you're going to be here tomorrow in your purple inners.
Purple inners.
Okay, and you're going to be here tomorrow?
I'll be here with the Reds.
Wish both of you gentlemen well. If you want some tips on what it is like to be
burn.
What's the total going to be tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm at the ground. I don't know.
You're at the ground?
I'm at the ground. Okay.
We'll call him and find out tomorrow. We'll call him and find out.
Now, Joy said that question early on. Joy's faced this barrage of criticism for being too tough. Most of the time, people are telling him he's setting questions too easy. So today, he set a question, and as he was reading his question, Ajay Jadeja knew the answer already. We actually stopped Ajay from coming up with the answer.
And it's the first time in all these days that I've come that I knew the answer.
Okay, Joy, come on.
Okay, here was the question, and we did get a lot of answers. One team vote false moustaches and wigs. Member of the opposing side pretended to bowl underarm. What game was this? This was actually
rugby star played his first major game too.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. This was actually the first ever T20 international between Australia and New Zealand. I think it was played at Eden Park, and they thought it was
a hit and a giggle.
A big joke, and everyone had a big laugh about it. They didn't know it was history being made. Jeff Wilson played. Jeff Wilson was
the Rugby All Black.
Was the Rugby All Black. One of the few players who played two sports for a country.
Now here's something interesting. Who got it right? First of all, we can keep going on and on. Let's see who got it right. Vidit Bhargav.
New guy.
Again? New. Well done, Vidit Bhargav. Well done. We need more of you. Yeah. So well done at Vidit B. Two things about you, Vidit. You got the answer right, but you're also the first. You were very quick to get on. Remember, you've got to go to give your answer with the hashtag Cricbuzz Live. Now, just a final point on that particular game before we finish. Yes, they did wear wigs, they did wear moustaches. As you said, McGrath wanted to bowl underarm. And the Australians coined that famous expression, didn't they? It's just a hit and the giggle.
Yeah.
And for a long time, the hit and the giggle endured in their cricket. They haven't yet won a World T20. They haven't done a World T20 for 14 years after calling it a hit and a giggle.
Absolutely. 6 World.
Maybe they don't try hard enough.
Maybe, but now the Big Bash is becoming almost as big as the Test series. So there you are then. Today the Sunrisers coasting along. I mean, you can say there was just an over left, but it was always going to be the Sunrisers after the Delhi Capitals had only made that many. So thank you very much for joining us here on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live. To Ajay Jadeja and Joy Bhattacharjya, and a new record being set. An IPL game and our program has finished on the day it started. Good night.